And we're live. Hello, everybody. I am Michael Whitehouse, the chairman of Conference 21 and the guy who knows a guy. This is the weekly round table wherein I invite 1 to 3 Conference 21 speakers who show up and talk about various items of interest that they want to share with the world. We have today with us Karen Etchels, who I'll introduce momentarily. First, I want to pitch a couple things, mostly because, as Karen, I'm sure you know, with a live podcast, live cast, you need to give it about a minute or two before anyone's actually paying attention. So I'll do all my promo stuff while no one's paying attention. Then we'll go to you once we have people logged in. So for those of you who do not know, this is all about Conference 21, which is, put the crawl on the bottom there, which is this coming May 21st to 23rd. We do this weekly roundtable every Friday at 2 p.m. And you can find out more about Conference 21 and get your tickets at conference21.com, which is also how you'll get access to Monday's networking event, which is our next networking event. It is Monday, April 5th at 7 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. This is the problem with daylight savings time, is I have to change what letters I put after the time every 6 months. And it gets me all confused. So you should definitely get your tickets now and not wait, because it gets you access to the networking events. All right, I have stalled long enough. Let's go to the guests. Karen Etchels, tell us about yourself and why you're awesome.
Hi there, Michael. I'm Karen Etchels. I have a digital marketing firm called Innovast Digital Marketing. And primarily we build websites and create content that ranks highly on search engines and provide social media management services. So that's my 3 key areas. But I often find that when I have a service provider or an independent professional come to me, they need assistance with getting their name out there and thus growing their personal brand. And it's all about putting out your reputation online, how people think of you. And when you're seen as the expert, you attract business for what you have to offer.
So I hope you have some things to share with us about how we should go about developing our personal branding.
Well, sure. I think it's number one, stepping out of your comfort zone, doing more kind of things where you're putting your personality out there, allowing opportunities for people to connect with you. I mean, for instance, I recently renovated my office. Actually, I moved from my office/laundry room to a real office in my house. So in doing so, I kind of share the story of how this used to be a messy kid's bedroom and how we turned it over into a nice place for me to work and to spend my daytime hours. And I think other entrepreneurs, especially since COVID, who are working at home, can really relate to some of the stories that I've shared related to that. It's as simple as that. It's just showing some of the behind the scenes, showing some of what personally interests you. Like I've mentioned previously, I share posts about my dogs, that I usually have one laying right behind me. And raising 2 poodles is really something that my husband and I enjoy, and their antics and they're, oh, there she is. Hi, Rowan.
And sometimes children wander through.
That's right. So, I mean, being real, being authentic, and letting people get to know who you are and what you're all about, and not just worrying about the business and of what you're offering, not just selling, but really connecting with people. And that's all your personal brand. That's what makes you different from every other individual who's selling the same thing that you're selling. It's how you can best connect with people. And if they like you, they know, like, and trust you, they're more likely to want to do business with you.
Well, I think a lot of us suffer from an antiquated idea of business, which almost goes back to the early 20th century, 19th century idea of spheres, the domestic sphere and the public sphere, where the man would go out and work and he was a business entity. And, he had children because he was a family man, which made him a good and honest person. But otherwise, you didn't see them. You didn't see his wife. You didn't see his house. He dropped out of the sky in business land. And
well, he had the business persona, right? So he wore that personality for the day.
Yeah, and so if he were to bring his kids to work other than for a special event, that would be unprofessional and inappropriate and strange. And now here we are all the way on the other side with a camera physically in our house.
That's right.
And most people don't have a green screen wall, so they've got whatever's behind them. And I think a lot of people feel like, but am I being professional if they know I'm in my laundry room or they see my kids or whatever? But at the same time, we're at the point where we don't trust these businesses anymore. We don't trust, generic corporation. We trust Karen, who's in a former bedroom that was adapted, and we trust you because you have a story and you're human. And businesses are not trustworthy. Humans are trustworthy.
Well, that's true. That's true. I mean, as little as 10 years ago, I worked for an agency before I launched Innovast Digital Marketing on my own. And when I did, even the owners of that business did not want to put their faces out on the website. And I found that really frustrating as their key marketing person in advising them. If you don't put your face out there, you're missing a huge opportunity, because people who can relate to you, who know you, most of the bulk of my business anyway is from referrals. It's from people who have done business with me, who are talking me up and sharing their experience and what it was like to do business with me. So it's because they've gotten to know me, and that's why other people trust their recommendations, because they don't yet know you. So if they have a friend say that they've known you, then you've got a foot in the door that you wouldn't have otherwise have had. So the challenge of selling your services isn't nearly as great, because they already know, like, and trust you. So that's why I encourage, really putting yourself out there, not to be afraid of making a mistake or being human, because we all are. And if you flub up, even on a Facebook Live, somebody out there is going to relate, because that's why people are watching, by the way, because they know you can flub up. But it just makes us all that more human. And when they see you under pressure and how you do, they know you can handle their project or whatever it is, because, you're great under pressure.
Yeah. People only watch anything I do live because they're waiting for the moment when suddenly the green screen collapses and they see what's behind it, which in this case is the white wall. So not very exciting. But yeah. Anytime you're watching live, that's why anything could happen. Dog could come bounding through the door. Kids could run behind.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so many of us are working under those conditions now. It's just being real. So being real, I think, is just a way to better connect with people. And I think most especially when you think of people that are selling real estate, for example, or people are in multi-level marketing where they're selling a product that there are so many others selling what you're selling. So the only way for people, if they don't know somebody personally who's selling that, how do they know that you're okay to do business with? It's just putting yourself out there so that people understand, one, that you have expertise. Like if you're in real estate, if you're a realtor, putting out what you know, like how to best prepare your home, or, all those little tips and hints that you would give a client once you've acquired them. But sharing that knowledge gives people comfort in knowing that you know your stuff. And so, the trust is built, and they'll want to reach out to you. So
and a lot of people don't know that they're afraid, well, what if somebody sees that and they don't want to do business with me because of what they see? And as I always let people know, one, most businesses don't have more than 2% of the market, and usually far, far less. And there's a million reasons not to do business with you. What you need is to give them one reason to do business with you. And that one reason can be anything. It could be, I saw the video with her dog and I thought the dog was really cute, so I looked at her website.
Absolutely.
It could be, you're into chess, I'm into chess. So, and especially, you said real estate, digital marketing. I have met more than 3 people in digital marketing today. It's a crowded field. So whenever I talk to someone in any of those fields, finance, real estate, insurance, multi-level marketing, marketing services, any of those kinds of things, my first question is, how are you different from everyone else in that very crowded space that you're in? And it's amazing how often they can't answer it and just say, I don't know. Or they answer with something, well, I give better service, or I'm more attentive to my customers. Okay, so all your competitors are jerks and you're cool. Okay, yeah, that's your competitive edge. But yeah, you can say it all you want, but you have to show it, and that's where it really comes out.
Yeah. For example, like a lot of times part of my job is like a psychiatrist. So I have people like call me up when their website goes down, their email goes down even. It's like, I don't really want to handle the email side of it. I'm a marketer, but they still will call me up in a panic, like, so something went down, or, they're afraid about a messaging or review. For me, it's just to give them calm advice and to take the emotion out of it in the moment, so that I can calm them down, and then to be able to communicate with them in a way that is pretty crystal clear without all of the excitement that they're feeling over the panic of the moment, that they don't understand the technology or they don't know how to respond. So it's just to know that they have a professional to go to that's going to guide them in the right direction and calm them down a little bit. So when people share about their experience in doing business with me, just that kind of differentiation that people know that they can trust me to help them through a challenge, whatever they might face, in growing their business, that I'm going to be calm and I'm going to tell them what I've learned from my experience, and I'm going to try, because I understand the emotion that they're feeling, try to just tell them, okay, we're going to address this step by step and we'll get through it. So, whatever it may be. I just had a case this morning where a domain name was grabbed up by somebody else, and they're trying to sell them their domain name back. And you can't believe how emotional people get. But but I think, in building relationships, just being a positive, giving it out in positive experience in working with you, and letting others know, how some of these things that have occurred and how you've handled them, and sharing stories. I mean, story sharing is half of it too, when you're putting yourself out there online. Anytime you have an opportunity, like I'll never say no to you if you ask me, I want to be on an interview, with you, or speak about something. I know there's other people that know similar topics, but in hearing it from me, what I know, my take on it, it helps me to differentiate myself. Hey, this is Karen's take on it. If you interviewed somebody else on the same topic, they'll probably have different things to say, but it's that know, like, and trust. So whenever you have an opportunity, even if it is uncomfortable to be on a live, put yourself out there.
Absolutely.
Show your expertise.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely huge, and that's why some people ask me, like, with Conference21, when you're picking speakers, how do you make sure they're not talking about the same thing? So don't. We could have, and we had a marketing track. We had 8 speakers in February, and some of them, if you read the description, sounded somewhat similar, and then you watch the talks, and they were totally different because they're different people. And first you want to make sure they have the expertise if you're going to work with someone, and then you want to make sure they're the kind of person you can talk to. And so there's different people are going to resonate with different people, which is why it's huge to have that personal brand and share who you are and what you're about. And that's, I think, a lot of businesses, unfortunately, April Fools has become a much diminished since 2020. I've been a huge fan of April Fool's Day as a social media concept, because prior to 2020, it was a chance for businesses to have some good, clean fun. Dairy Queen, I don't know if you saw this. They did one yesterday that was an at-home ice cream maker. It was basically a Keurig machine they painted blue, and then did some graphic design so it looked like it was making ice cream at home. But they're like, we're happy to announce the at-home Dairy Queen ice cream maker. And it's just these hilarious things. There's another one was dog waiters. So it was pants for dogs for walking in, walking water, which was absolutely adorable. But I only saw 4 April Fool's jokes, but Dairy Queen's now in my head. And now I'm thinking, I haven't been to Dairy Queen in a while. I think they just reopened.
That's it.
Like, I know this is funny, but I could really go for a Blizzard. Yeah. A lot of these companies used to be really good at doing that. And because part of it is, if you're Burger King, McDonald's, or Wendy's, you're trying to differentiate. The differences are fairly subtle and subjective among those 3 brands. which is why Wendy's. You look, you think of the Wendy's Twitter brand. Wendy's is a very snarky Twitter brand, and sometimes they'll engage, and that's the best thing when two snarky Twitter brands go at it and start, having this. I think Burger King and Wendy's have gotten into it. I mean, Burger King and McDonald's have gotten into it too. Like, I think it was McDonald's geofenced Burger King. So whenever you went to a Burger King, your McDonald's app would pop up a coupon. No, it's the other way. Burger King did it to McDonald's. Okay. Whenever you went into McDonald's, the Burger King app would pop up a coupon that said, "I notice you're about to make a mistake. Have a free Whopper. Stop what you're doing right now. Come over here. We'll give you a free Whopper and save your lunch." And it was just such a in your face kind of thing. But it's kind of that like all in good fun, aggressive competition.
Sure. Well, they're putting out a brand personality.
Yeah.
So having a personality around your brand is what makes you memorable. That's why I tell people, put yourself out there. Don't worry about looking silly. Yep. People remember, especially if you're sharing stories or talking about something that is a problem that they also have. Talk about how you solve someone else's issue. And if it's anything related to what that person needs, then you've got their ear. You just have to be interesting enough. And if you don't put yourself out there as a human being to make that connection, you're just not going to be interesting enough. So
absolutely. Yeah.
I think even a big brand like that, like you said, being a little snarky, having a personality is what makes people interested.
Yep. Yeah. Have you ever read the Taco Bell website with the descriptions of their food?
No.
Which I keep referring to this. I really should check to make sure it's still there. A couple of years ago, so on their website, they have all their food described. And of course, this is kind of silly because like, who doesn't know what a taco is? So it's kind of pointless. I mean, a lot of it's SEO, so you want to make sure that if somebody clicks on the taco, they're going to see that they're going to come up. But what they did, and I'm actually looking at the website right now to see if it's still there, is that they'll tell a story and they'll kind of make it amusing and make it something that is not just like, this taco has blah, 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 and cheese and tomatoes and delicious ingredients. But it actually, really goes in. If my computer were faster, I'd have this right in front of me right now. But let's see. Oh yeah. So this is the description of the Taco Bell soft taco, which they're most generic. This is the cheeseburger of Taco Bell. While the crunchy taco's got a tough outer shell, a bit of a mean streak, and a penchant for picking fights with strangers, the soft taco is a nice, polite chill. We guess you can say the two are polar opposites, but we'll let you decide. And let's see. Going on down. Well, you've already read previously the crunchy taco is rough and tough. The soft taco is its much softer brother. It just has so many feelings, unlike the crunchy taco, but has the same ingredients with this seasoned beef and real cheddar cheese, equally delicious as the crunchy taco, but without the temper of the crunchy taco.
Well, they really gave that food a personality.
Yeah. But instead of a tough corn shell, the soft taco is a warm flour tortilla, soft, of course, as you've already probably guessed. It's the kind of taco that will bring flowers to your mom when it's invited over for dinner. It celebrates holidays with your family. And it's the one out back playing catch with the kids and pushing them on the swing set. It's the one you see helping an elderly lady cross the street just after helping her get her cat out of a tree. It remembers your birthday, even without the help of social networks, which is huge. It's so soft. It exclusively listens to Toronto hip-hop. Sorry, Canada. 80s power ballads. Hey, no judgment. It happens to be the best of us. And if we're being completely honest here, we've all done this before. It's dreamy. It's soft. It's delicious. It's the soft taco.
That
is the actual description.
You remembered that.
TacoBell.com.
Yes.
But and of course, now that you know that, you're going to go to Taco Bell and be like, what other Easter eggs are on that site? And because otherwise, why would you ever go to TacoBell.com? Yeah. You don't want to know anything about Taco Bell's food. That's kind of one of the places that it's delicious, and the more you know, the worse it is. Put it in a bag, hand it to me, let me eat it, and forget about it. and then not think about the fact that I ate it. So, how do you get someone to go to that website? You make it interesting. You make it engaging. You make it fun and funny.
Yeah. I think a lot of small business owners would be kind of fearful of putting that much personality around their products or whatever they're offering, but totally memorable, right? So not a bad idea.
Yeah.
I just worked with a local insurance company and refreshed their website. And that's one of the things we're doing, is that the owner is into cycling and fishing and, things like that. And so, it has nothing to do with insurance, but having a good life, a whole life, that he has a family, putting those kind of things out in his social media too, I think is a great way to personalize. Why go to this insurance company over that insurance company? They both sell insurance, but if you like the person that you're working with, you build a relationship there. And to know that you have some points in common. The first time I met with this man was on a Zoom meeting, and he had a picture of him with a group of cyclists behind him in the meeting. It was a point of discussion. I said, you've got to put some of that on your website. So,
Yeah. Well, and our simple monkey brains don't understand the internet. So our brain doesn't recognize that the reason you know all this stuff about the person is not because they're your friend, but because they put it on their social media. So the more you know about someone, the more you think you know them, and the more you feel like you have a relationship with them. That's how celebrities work. People are.
Michael, have you ever had somebody approach you out in the world when you're out and about, and they know you, or they say something like, I had this happen to me once. I was in downtown Providence, and I heard a voice from out of nowhere. Whoa, Karen! It was somebody that I worked with previously at the newspaper, but years ago. And I remember I said, oh, hi, it's been so long since I've seen you. And he says, how's Caitlin doing? And I'm thinking, I didn't have Caitlin when you knew me. How do you know about Caitlin? She's my daughter. And he's like, oh, I'm following you on social. He never says a word. He never liked the post. I had no idea. I even forgot we were friends, But there he is. The first question, how's Caitlin doing? He's been watching. So you always have to realize that there are a ton of people out there that don't engage, but they really enjoy watching. So they're getting to know you. He felt like he still knew me, even though I hadn't seen him in so many years. That connection was maintained through social media, but there are a lot of people that aren't going to like a post or comment on your stuff, but they're watching. So always remember that. You have a bigger audience than you realize.
Yeah, and that's why authenticity is vital too. Yeah. So if you were presenting a fake life and you ran into someone on the street, now you've got to be that person. You've got to remember what you posted. And that's where businesses go wrong, like especially when they hire someone else to do the social media. That's one of those services that kind of auto generates posts that are non-personal.
They're just too generic.
Yeah, recipes or travel advice or whatever. Because if it posts something about a trip to Maine and somebody on the street, hey, how's that trip to Maine? I didn't take a trip to Maine. Yeah, it was on your Facebook page. Now you're either admitting that your Facebook page is fake and like, oh, we have a service that does that. Oh, okay. Why am I subscribing to your page to see your marketing material?
Well, there's a personal page and the business page, and so they are two different things. But still,
or you've got to live that identity, which is far worse. But you see that really with the posers, the ones who are, look how successful I am, and I'm making all this money, and I'm so great, and then somebody sees you in real life doing something that's incongruous with the brand you have.
doesn't match.
Yeah, and you run it. I was speaking to there was someone who I sort of barely know. We met on Facebook, and a new realtor, and she reached out to me and said, hey, I'd love to meet up, do a 1-to-1, and it's kind of pick your brain about a few things. I said, yeah, sure, okay. And she says, yeah, I've been watching your live videos. I've been watching your stuff. I've had a couple times when I thought about giving up on my business, and your videos made me not give up. I'm like, this is someone I barely know who was inspired. But then she also mentioned that at one point she was driving down the road and saw me walking down the street. I was like, should I talk to him? No, that'd be creepy. But like, we live in the world, and the people we connect with, and this is a huge thing, the people we connect with on social media live on the same planet in real life. So
true.
the things you say here,
Real people,
affect here, and yeah, a lot of, and that kind of comes down to the importance of kind of keeping an eye on what you say and how you say it, and as I think I said in my book, everything's on the test.
Yes,
There's
I have
no
I have a story to share. That's pretty interesting.
I love stories.
I've had a lot of this. This has been a trying week for many of my clients. I don't know what it is in the stars or whatever.
Rough week, yeah.
It has been, but something really unusual happened. So one of my clients is a service-based business, and they got a terrible review that the owner was a nasty guy, and I would never do business with him. It was a terrible negative review, a 1-star, and come to find out. So, I help them with reputation management because I oversee their presence online. And so if there ever is a questionable review, I'll go to them and say, well, how should we respond? What's what do you, tell me your side of the story, basically. And it was a telemarketer. The guy who gave the review was not a client. He was calling. He called at 7:30 in the morning before the guy was ready to go out to go service clients and customers. And he got this telemarketing call, and the guy wouldn't let him hang up, and he was being pushy, and he got a little bit short on the phone. That was it. And he went on with his day, and come to find out, the guy who was the salesperson on the phone gave him a bad review for hanging up on him. So
wow.
I was just like,
the number of times I've been tempted to do that, but I never actually did it.
Yeah. So, how you come across, you do have to keep in mind that anybody in the world can kind of come at you. It should really be a client, customer, who's giving you a review. But
yeah.
I was just like, okay, this isn't even a customer who did this. And, crafting a response to that. And at the same time, you don't want to get in a tit for tat with somebody who's, heated online with reviews, but still you've got your brand to protect. And so perhaps, taking something offline to ease it out, iron it out. I don't know, but I think retaliation is the worst thing you could ever do, or the more activity that goes on that post is just going to bring it right to the top of all your reviews. So it's a tough situation, but it kind of blew me away.
Well, and the thing a lot of people forget about when they're debating online, whether it's a review or it's just a debate somewhere, is your audience is not the person you're talking to. You're never going to convince the other guy. I've never seen, well, rarely, because I've done it myself a couple times, but I've almost never seen someone say, "Oh, you know what? You're right. I'm going to change. I'm changing my opinion on this." It has happened where someone's presented new information. I say, "Oh, I didn't know that. I may have been mistaken. I'll you kind of walk it back." But most people don't do that. But your audience is everyone else who's seeing it. It's a show fight.
They're sitting in the audience, and you're on the ring in the middle.
Yep. And people don't realize that. So if one person is all calling people names and insulting them, and actually, if anyone friends on my personal account, I made a post about April Fools, and there was a particular individual who did not acquit himself well in the conversation, being very insulting and nasty and on the very wrong side of the issue, claiming that all jokes are okay and no matter who gets hurt, funny is the purpose of a joke, was basically the argument. And a lot of people were coming and responding to that, be like, no, humor that hurts people is not funny. Humor that hurts people is bullying. That's bad. But when I was engaging, I was aware that I wasn't doing this for his benefit. I was doing it for everyone else who was going to see it. And so I wrote it in such a way that people would look at that and their response would be, either like, yeah, I like how you put that, or maybe you stuck it to him. But some rhetorical engagement. If I'm just like, "You stupid so-and-so, blah, 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 blah," 4-letter words, I just look like a child. I look like I'm flinging poo. Now the highest form of this art is when two people are doing it back and forth, and you have some really erudite conversation where they're bringing in, historical references and really bringing something that is interesting to read and still telling. But that's when you want to insult someone, do it with some class, do it with some pizzazz. Don't just call names. But show that you're an intelligent
It is the worst
person
thing you can do is to do that tit for tat. It just really does. You're not even you're blurring the focus. People don't even care about what you do or whatever. You're tainting your whole personality because it's not your typical self who's being. When you're in attack mode, you're in a different frame of mind. So a lot of times I have to kind of coach and talk my clients through, okay, I understand you're upset right now. And I've had it before, a common thing is where a competitor will put a negative comment, a negative review on your channel, or they suspect it's a competitor. They're like, I never did business with this person, and they're angry and upset, but you don't want to put that anger out there at all. You just,
right.
That's the last thing you want to do.
Well, and of course you can respond with kindness, which always disarms people and makes you look really good. So if someone puts up a comment and they're all, nasty, and then you respond with, I'm sorry to hear you had that experience and I'd love to make it right. Here's my phone number. Give me a call. And I'm very sorry this happened. And I don't doubt your word at all. If you say it happened, I completely believe you. And I'll be here tomorrow from 9 to 5. Come in anytime. I will do whatever it takes to make this right for you.
Sure.
Sure.
And that's the way to go.
You're just like, yes, whatever you want. I'm yours. Take it.
Yeah.
And what are they going to do? Be like,
surrender.
No. You give them nothing to fight, nothing to hit. And of course, all your other customers look at that and say, wow, if that's how he treats the nasty ones, imagine how he treats the nice ones.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I actually had a meeting with a client earlier today, and they have an amazing 5-star reviews. Like every day they get 3 or 4 reviews that are all 5-star. And then they had one negative that was like from a year or 2 back. And he says to me, that ruined my perfect rating. And I'm like, but yeah, when you read the wording, when you see the messaging in that review, you can tell that person isn't all there upstairs. It reflects on them. And so people can see it. Like, it's just not worth going to in a bit back and forth with someone like that because you can tell just by the way it's worded that people aren't going to trust that review.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's definitely true. Especially with reviews. That's a big thing. And I've actually just recently was reading the book, The 4 Agreements, by Don Miguel Ruiz, I believe is the order of his name. But the second agreement is don't take anything personally. And all the gist of that is that when someone says something about you, they are saying far more about themselves than they are about you. And they think they can really stick it to you. But really people looking at it and be like, ooh, what kind of person says that? They're not saying what's wrong with that business, saying what's wrong with that customer. Damn. Who gets that upset about a cheeseburger? Like, what missing in your life that you care that much about how your shoes fit?
Yeah. So it's interesting, but I mean, protecting how we're perceived online, it's a human nature, Yep.
Yeah, and as you bring it back to an earlier point where you're talking about the telemarketer leaving the review, in my previous business, I did a lot of cold calling, talked to a lot of business owners who didn't know who I was, and probably assumed as telemarketers they didn't actually listen when I introduced myself. And there are businesses that have lost significant customers because of how they treated me, because they didn't listen to who I was, and they were rude. Not say I never went out publicly and said anything, but I know people who come to me and say, hey, who should I go to? And I'll be like, well, you shouldn't go to that person because let me tell you a story. Oh man, they did that to you? Yeah, never going there. And suddenly, that customer, and because that's the thing, you only need one reason to buy and any reason not to. Because if you're going to go to one hardware store or one plow company or one landscaper, and there's 40 landscapers, you're picking one of them, any reason to disqualify someone, be like, whew, now I got 39 to look at. That was easy.
There's too much competition out there. So if people have any reason to question, then they just move on. Yeah.
Yeah. And so you never know, that telemarketer, that salesman, that that evangelist, that, whoever it is who's knocking on your door, you can disengage the conversation, but you got to do it politely. And you can say, I'm sorry, I don't have time to talk to you right now, which is very different from not interested.
Right. Proved to be true this week for one client. I could sympathize, but at the same time, I'm like, if you're just nice to all people all the time, you can, like you said, you can say what you've got to say in a very business-like, professional way without being nasty.
Yeah, I've even had times when I'm calling, customer service lines, and steam's coming out of my ears. I get the vein in the forehead, because it's something really frustrating. And I've said to them, I've actually said, like, I am really angry about this. I know you didn't do it. You're in the call center. And if I'm angry at you, I apologize, because you're the one who happened to be in front of me. But I'm going to be angry right now. And even just having that kind of acknowledging that usually makes it go a lot better.
Yeah, you're not making it a personal attack.
Yeah, just be clear. Yeah. I'm probably going to yell at you. It's not your fault. You're going to get yelled at. I'm sorry about that. Now let's talk. but Joe, to acknowledge that, like, I'm pissed off. It's my problem. And your company's problem.
We're all human, right? So.
Yep. Yeah, you got to be.
That's basically, the thing about personal branding, and, we all want our businesses to be perceived in a certain way, and it's nice to be able to massage that. But really and truly, if you want people to take that extra step, and when they're at a point in time where they need a specific service and they think of who do I turn to? Well, if you've created a presence online that they see you on a regular basis, and they know enough about you to know that you can be trusted and that you know your stuff, well, there you've got a competitive advantage. You may not have the biggest company that has the biggest team or whatever, but if you provide, a niche market, a service in a way that the bigger company can't, but they won't know that unless you put yourself out there, show that you have the expertise, that you're just as competent, give the reason, show why do business with you. But the more you put yourself out there, the better chance you have to be called when that need arises. You'll be top of mind.
Absolutely.
That's what I help people with.
That's what it's all about.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Now I seem to get an echo, but that's okay because we're wrapping up.
Okay.
But this has been great. It's been very, very valuable. I think a lot of people can use this kind of information. So what do you know yet what you'll be talking about at Conference 21?
Well, this is my topic, and this is why I suggested talking about this today.
Awesome.
Personal branding is a big thing, but there's lots of different ways to do it. Whether you're comfortable with it or not comfortable with, or you could just get your toe in the water, but at least putting yourself out there and knowing how to do it. I could give a set of, a checklist, for example, but doing it in the right way, with the right cadence is really going to get you further. And it's one of those things too. You can't just, put out something once and think that people know you. No, it's an ongoing content generating, continuously do it, because you don't know when that need is going to arise, and you want to be top of mind, have people think of you. And if you're memorable in some way, that you offer value, or you're the funny person, or you're the guy that always wears a purple tie, whatever it is, you got to stand out. And the only way you're going to do that is to put your personality out there. So that's what I help people do who are in very competitive businesses, especially personal service providers. If they're an independent professional, a consultant, a coach, show what makes you different. Why do business with you?
And if you don't like speaking yourself too much, you can always do something like a podcast or a live cast and bring guests on.
Yeah.
And then you look like a really smart person, because all the smart things people say on your show, people attribute to you.
Right.
So people think I know everything when I really know very little. I just know a lot of people.
No, that's true. Surround yourself by people that you learn from. It's really, I tell my kids that. If you want to get ahead, I even tell my daughter, like who's starting at a minimum wage job, watch how they operate the business. Don't just think about the task that you've got to pour coffee. Look at the bigger picture when you're in there. Watch how they're running their business and think about that. It's just interesting to me. But but I really think the people that you surround yourself and who you can learn from, it rubs off on you. My mom used to say, water finds its own level.
Yep. Yeah. Running Conference 21 has been amazing because I get to hang out with and have conversations with all these amazing, successful people, mindset coaches and marketing experts and just all these incredible people. And the amount I've learned in the past 6 months, hanging out with all these people. And the cool thing is the attendees get to have not quite the level of experience I get because they don't get to talk to the speakers as much as I do, but they get almost the same experience. They can come to the networking events. They can come to the event. They can see the talks. All the talks are fairly interactive. So, I'm really trying to create that community where people can do what you're talking about, which is to be able to meet those kinds of people and surround yourself. Because, out in the world, your social circle may or may not be highly entrepreneurial and motivated and educated. So that's
very true. I mean, everybody's virtual now, right? Since the virus hit, and everybody's learned how to use these tools, how to see each other online and talk in real time. So why not take advantage of it? Because, you'd probably have to travel the world to meet all kinds of people from all walks of life that you could just sit in the comfort of your own home and meet now. So take advantage of that.
That's been incredible because I've met people from around the United States, Canada, Europe. I visited BNI groups on every. No, I have not been to a BNI group in Africa. Or South
Put it
America.
on your bucket list.
Yeah, I'm like, right. I'm so incomplete. I've had clients in Africa, but we have a speaker. We actually just had a speaker sign up from Nigeria for Conference 21 in May. Yeah. So that's it. Yeah, we had a number of speakers from the I believe it's called the Black Speaker Association. Someone put out the application there, and it got passed around, and we've had about something like 8 or 10 fantastic speakers sign up from that organization, which I wasn't even familiar with. So I'm really excited that.
Yeah, you never know what doors are going to open.
Exceeding my reach. So.
Yes, that's wonderful.
Yeah,
lots to learn. It's a great opportunity.
Yep, absolutely. So people can get their tickets to that at conference21.com. As I mentioned before, we're doing a networking event on Monday. That is April 5th at 7 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, accessible through the internet. So if you have the internet, you can come to our networking event from anywhere, even from the moon. Although I think the 3-second latency could be annoying. So if you're on the moon, it might not be quite as easy. But anywhere on Earth, you can get into our event. I don't think there's anyone on the moon right now, so that should be. I don't think there's an issue with excluding that audience. You always want to be accessible to everyone you can. So Karen, thank you very much for being on the show. It has been.
Thanks for having me,
as always. And I will see you. I don't know if you'll be able to make it to the networking event on Monday, but I'm sure I'll see you at one of the other Conference 21 things we got coming up.
Sounds good. Looking forward to it.